And joining me now is Democratic Congressman from North Carolina, Don Davis, is also a member of the House Agriculture Committee. Thank you so much, Congressman, for being here. So some 1.4 million people in your state of North Carolina could see their SNAP benefits run dry by November 1st. What's your message to those people in your state who are now scared, frankly, that they might not have basic necessities?
The message is, and it should be loud and clear, it's time to get the government up and open. We should not be pitting healthcare, food against each other. This is about taking care of the basic needs of the American people. We cannot lose focus of that, and you cannot have any deal without talking. Let's come to the table. Let's get everybody back in Washington, D.C. Let's prioritize the American people.
You're talking about getting everybody back in Washington, D.C., but I wonder, isn't the quickest and easiest way here to just pass a clean funding bill here and for Democrats maybe to abandon this stance for now and maybe try to take up negotiations later?
I believe right now we have to come back to the core. This conversation has been about concerns, the uncertainty of healthcare, potentially kicking people off of the healthcare system. We need to make sure that Americans are able to receive health care. We need to also make sure we're feeding American people. I mean, if we're looking at this, I don't know what else becomes an emergency or a crisis that's before us.
I also want to talk to you about the largest union representing federal workers. They put out a statement today. It said in part, both political parties, there's still no clear end in sight. It's time to pass a clean, continuing resolution and end this shutdown today. No half measures, no gamemanship. What's your response to that, given the fact that the union is essentially urging Democrats to abandon their stance?
I believe that it is important, if we are serious, if we're genuine. There's a lot of actually bipartisan support when you talk about making even some modifications and reforms with healthcare. There's bipartisan support. We need to come together in a real way and stop this jockeying in a position and pointing fingers at each other to decide who's going to be to blame, because what we see taking place before our very eyes, the American people are the ones who are suffering. And I would say, I believe President Trump has done fairly decent overseas, but it's time for the president to come and take care of the American people here and bring everyone to this table.
I want to ask you, though, would you be open to passing a clean CR first and then negotiating on these larger issues that you just talked about?
I believe even if that takes place, there needs to be genuine and honest conversations about a pathway forward.
And when you talk about health care subsidies, I want to ask you some questions about that. Open enrollment for the ACA starts on November 1st. There's been some discussions on Capitol Hill, particularly among moderate Republicans, for a one-year extension. Is that something that you could support, that you would support?
I believe we should keep definitely all options on the table, but it's time to land this plane. And if you extend ACA premium tax credits for even a year, it allows more opportunities for us to continue to have conversations. But to be clear, there are broad issues, there are differences. We have to come together, have a real conversation. And those conversations, I believe, are more important in terms of the chicken or the egg and who goes first here.
Yeah. I want to ask you about everyday Americans. So many of them are struggling, low-income Americans, to survive. And some of them say that really they see both parties as playing politics with their livelihoods, with their very survival. What's your message to Americans who are just fed up with both parties?
When we look and see this, we should not be surprised when people say Washington is broken. This is evidence of it. And matter of fact, I've been making my rounds, talking to people nonstop, and people are concerned about cost. They're concerned about trade issues that are taking place. So many farmers here in Eastern North Carolina, they're focused on trying to raise children. And when they look and see this, most people do not believe that this is in their best interest or the best interest of our country.
Let's turn to redistricting. Republican lawmakers in your state passed a new map aimed at redistricting you out of your seat. Is there anything you can do to fight back on this?
we're continuing to talk about the issues that impact the people of Eastern North Carolina the most. Again, costs, raising kids, trade. These are issues that I hear every single day. This is a Trump district. This is a Davis district that I won in. And since the beginning of the year, over 46,000 reached out to our office. Not 1-0 have said that they needed a new map. This is the same issue that we're talking about before. When people are struggling, they're hurting, and we're focusing on redistricting, not just in North Carolina, but making all of this these redistricting conversations and moves, positioning each other, jockeying across the nation, state after state. People are sick and tired of this. They're saying enough is enough, I believe.
As you're saying, people are sick and tired of this. It's not, of course, just Republicans who are pushing for redistricting. You've also seen Democrats in places like California, Maryland, Illinois, today in Virginia pushing for redistricting. Do you support Democrats trying to redistrict?
I'm going to be clear on what I support. Being on the end of this and seeing what's happening, I believe we need a national ban on mid-decade redistricting. We need to hit reset on all of this right now and focus back, bring our focus back to the American people, the families, and let's get this government open.
So the Democrats who are pushing for redistricting, you're saying they're also in the wrong? I'm
saying right now that we should be focusing on American families, people. These are real issues and concerns that they have. And when they look at the response is not drawing a map. The response is let's get out there, go to work, tackle the toughest issues, and solve problems. That's what I believe the American people want us to do. They demand and expect of us.
Well, thank you, Congressman Don Davis. Appreciate you coming on the show.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.